Hi, Chuck Brott, lived in Schenectady for 55 years. I've worked for the Costumer for 20 years. Prior to that, I worked at Albany Medical Center for about 20 years. I got a few questions I'd like to bring to Roger Hall, some things that are concerning me.
Well, thanks for getting together.
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
My mind is the streets in Schenectady. You know, I've just recently had abdominal surgery, and I drive down Erie Boulevard. It's a nightmare for me.
Well, Erie, I suspect, will be done just because of the casino. That'll be fixed up the next year or so.
I lived down around Erie Boulevard all my life.
Right.
And I've never seen it better. It's always been a horrible road. And, it made me realize just how bad it is now with the abdominal surgery and trying to drive down it.
Right. Well, one of the things about elections, they probably should have elections every couple of months because the only times things seem to get done is during an election year.
Right.
So the roads will all be done, I suspect, by November 3rd.
From things from past, though, from past history, is you see it getting done, and as soon as it's done, it's dug up again.
Well, because it's a question of what the process is, and they're using this new process, which from everything I've heard and seen is not working very well. It looks great for elections, and then it falls apart.
Right, exactly.
So there needs to be a plan, obviously, to do it street by street. But the most important thing is to let people know what's happening, rather than to just have things appear piecemeal. Let people know, and that's one of my biggest gripes, is that the secrecy of government is ridiculous. Politicians, people in office, are servants of the people. They're not there for themselves, and that's not the way it seems to be right now.
This is true, and it's apparently been like that a long time.
Right. So let's have a change, and let's see what we can do about it. Yeah. I don't think Vince and I and Tom and Mike and would be the same way. I know we wouldn't.
I'm all for change. I've worked for the city many years ago. My father worked for the city many years ago. And it was different back then. It was different. There was people that cared. People cared about their neighborhoods. Cared about their neighbors. You don't see that anymore.
Well, that's something one has to try and bring back. I mean, I've been here. You've been here all your life. I'm a transplant. I grew up in Kew Gardens, part of New York City. Worked in different parts of the country, but I've been here for 25 years. I was at Union for 15 years, but I left 10 years ago. My friends from New York City thought I was going to move back there. I stayed because I like the community. Yeah. It's got great assets. It's got major issues, but the issues can be solved if we bring people together. And that's why I formed the Alliance effort, and we have to be an alliance for reform to try and bring things about differently. Yeah. And can they change? Yeah, I'm an optimist.
It's not going to change overnight, though.
It's not going to be overnight, no. But what you can change overnight is the people who are running government. Yeah. And that's what we need to do on November 3rd.
Yeah. I pay outrageous amounts of taxes on my house, and I see my sidewalks are garbage. Where I see, sidewalks being done in worse neighborhoods than mine, run-down houses, where I try to take care of myself and my neighbors, and we would never see the city trying to help us.
Well, you haven't heard, and I haven't heard, and I don't think anyone has heard what the rationale is as to why certain sidewalks are done at taxpayers' expense, and other homeowners and property owners in general have to fend for themselves.
Right.
So, what I'd like to see, and I don't know if the finances will permit it, but it would be the right way to go. Let's have in place something that would allow the city and the property owner to split the cost of sidewalks. That would be a fair way of going.
That seems fair.
That would be a great way of going. Other communities do that. We should, and I would certainly look into see whether it's financially feasible to do it. Because the key is taxes can't come down until three things happen. One, crime goes down. Two, education is perceived as being stronger. And three, neighborhoods are revitalized. Until you do that, taxes can't come down because property values won't go up.
I guess we can touch bases on a casino. That's coming. I'm all for the casino. I know there's a lot of people against it. It's, worrying about crime coming in, dope dealers, robberies, whatever. I'm all for bringing jobs to the city. Like I said, I have a house that's, right there.
Right.
Right in the middle of it. And I don't feel concerned about, people getting robbed and things like that to go and gamble. I have family that live in Las Vegas, and work in casinos and, do very well for themselves. I feel that, being there's going to be millions and millions of dollars in a casino, they're going to have great security. They're going to have, there'll be cameras in that whole area. There'll be stuff. I just personally feel people are worrying too much about people getting robbed there and drug dealers going on and scumbags coming in. You know what? The only bad thing about it is that I feel is that you're going to get people who are going to get addicted to gambling.
Right.
Okay? But that's their own personal problem. That's, I'm smart enough to know I'm not going to go take my paycheck and blow it gambling when I got bills to pay.
Right.
You just need to be smart.
Right. Well, I have to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of the casino. By the same token, it's coming. I would work to make it work. And I would start planning about what we do if it does not work. But in terms of the casino, you can make the argument both ways.
Right.
I suspect it's an issue that is split pretty much in this community. And there are people who feel strongly as you do that it's the answer. I think it's coming. We work to do what we can with it. But there are issues that are associated with it. And when we talk about the millions of dollars coming in, we have to also recognize there'll be increased fire and police costs. There will be infrastructure costs. And there will be the social costs that you talked about.
Right.
And those are serious issues because there will be people in this highly taxed town who are going to take money that they can't afford to lose to try and win to
Right,
pay
I
their
understand
taxes.
that.
And the problem with that is the house always wins.
Right. And you need to be smart enough to know that.
Right.
You definitely need to be smart enough to know that. And I think the majority of people are smart enough to know that. I just feel it's going to be bringing people in from, surrounding states. First of all, bus trips, like we have bus trips from here to go to Mohegan Sun
Right.
and things like that. And I feel, that's going to be bringing people in here and maybe seeing our community and say, hey, this is a nice place. Maybe I want to invest my time. Maybe I want to buy a house in this city. Maybe I want to make it better. So I look at it at that point of view.
Well, I hope you're right. We have to recognize we have to the north Saratoga Gaming.
Yep.
We have Turning Stone to the west. We have a new casino going in Springfield to the east. And we're going to have one in the Catskills to the south. So if we were the first and only casino, then I think there will be significant traffic coming in. My concern is if that's not the case and the casino is for the people who are here, we've got too many people who can't afford to lose.
Well, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. If it was for just the people here, I honestly agree with this. The majority of people in the city are poor. I totally agree with that. But I think being that it's on a waterway, I think people, cruise companies, I'm not saying big cruise ships, but I'm saying cruise companies, will start chartering, cruises down the river to the casino, to the restaurants that they're building. So I see a bigger open market that way, bringing people in.
And I hope you're right. And so, again, all I can say is, although not a fan of the casino personally, I'd work to make it work because it's coming, and there's no point to fight something that's coming.
Right. I agree. I agree to disagree with,
Well,
you're not for it. I am. I mean, I grew up down there. And I've seen nothing ever down there. You know what I mean? So it's exciting for me to see something new also.
Oh, and I think that's great. And I think the development of the condos in the riverfront is a wonderful idea. And the question is, was that additional piece something that made great sense or not? So we may have to just agree to disagree, but the bottom line is, it's coming. And if I'm mayor on January 1, I'd work to make it happen.
That's good. I like that. I'm almost positive you can still have chickens in the city.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. In some parts of the city, I know Front Street where I am, I don't think the zoning has been changed, but there's been horses that have been there.
Really?
Yes. Guy across the street from me had a huge garden. His name was Boudreaux, I can't remember his last name, this was years ago, he had chickens, he had a horse. And I don't think the zoning has ever been changed. I just think that, you know, it's just like this. This was an actual chicken coop, so somebody had chickens here or something. There you go. You can play some too.